came across the story of Katharina Kepler, the mother of the astronomer Johannes Kepler, because I couldn't find a good English language biography of Johannes Kepler. That really is the answer. I was kind of, everyone has their stress reading or their sort of the reading that calms them down. And for me, that's scientific biographies. That's something that I really love to read. And I wanted to read about Kepler because he's a marvel, but also I have a friend who named their son Kepler. And there was almost nothing in the English language. There was certainly nothing recent and with a perspective. And there was a translation of a biography from something like 1950, where they actually cut out the witch trial of Katharina Kepler because it was still so embarrassing and shameful that it had happened to the family. So I just kind of, well, the best book I could find to learn about Kepler was a book by a scholar, Rivka Galchen, that came out from Oxford University Press, I think in 2018 or 2016, called The Astronomer and the Witch. And it's a nonfiction academic book, but an academic book that is written in a really compelling way. And so I read it to learn more about the son, and I fell in love with the character of the mother, the person of the mother. Yeah, so the witch trials in Europe as opposed to the witch trials in America were different in many ways, but I guess the ways it stuck out to me when I was spending time in that time period was how much work, how much truly kind of ethical, well-meaning work went into trying a witch in the best and most fair way. So they actually had such a well-developed legal code for what allowed you to take someone's testimony seriously and how many accusations there had to be, and whether how many kind of confirmations of your bad dealings there had to be. So even though they're of course very upsetting, there are things like, the testimony of women and children is not reliable, and if you have a relative who's a witch, then you only need one person accusing you. So they seem sort of absurd and depressing, but at the same time, I actually found myself quite moved by the attention that had been put into trying to make these trials not completely capricious, even though it failed. Yeah, I never thought I would write a historical novel. I don't think I have a gift for it really, but I was so in love with this character, I said I'm going to do it anyways. And actually that taps into my love of being even more of an amateur than I am. I actually feel like I'm most excited and at my best when I'm flailing a little bit. So the one thing writing a historical novel really gave me as a gift was I often think I'm really almost more of a reader than a writer. Like I really am happy when I'm reading. And the balance of reading to writing for this novel was so, in a wonderful way, heavy on the reading that was like an unexpected joy. I always think of a novel as an escape, not because I think it ought to be an escape, or ought not to be an escape, but just that it is. But of course, like escapes are always from somewhere, and it's always from now. And so I kind of think I don't want that sort of op-ed voice or that op-ed head to like go into reading a novel, because I feel like it's a different kind of intelligence that can work in a novel. And I sort of would never draw any direct parallels, and I wasn't thinking of direct parallels when I was writing the book. But I was escaping from very much right now. So of course, like the book, it just has like that texture all over it. I feel like I basically have a comic outlook, not because I'm like a funny person or at dinner I don't have any jokes, I'm boring, but I just feel like when something is funny, it's accurate. It's almost like a kind of verification code. And so almost like the more sad or depressing or frightening a subject is, the more I feel like I see humor there. So, some of my favorite books are The Sellout by Paul Beatty, or Memento Mori by Muriel Spark. And these, it's almost the more serious the subject, the more you get that disjunct that makes you laugh.